Hello Capricorn, it's Maritza of the Sybil Heart, and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do a tarot reading for Capricorn. Not sure why I'm unsure of it since I'm looking at my list and Capricorn is up. So, just very quickly, these tarot readings are meant for entertainment purposes and personal enlightenment purposes only. Please do not use these readings to replace any kind of professional advice. I am not a therapist, and the way that I hope that you approach these readings is similar to how you approach conversations with your friends, where you don't always listen to their advice, or, and sometimes you do listen to their advice, but it always depends on what feels right to you. So if this reading resonates with you, please take that with you, and if it doesn't, then you can choose to come back at a later time. So cheers. I have my coffee in hand and my tarot deck, so here we go. What message do you have for Capricorn? Do you have for Capricorn? You have the Six of Swords. My light is okay. I'm done bothering about that. Then we have the Four of Wands reversed, the Six of Swords, the Four of Wands reversed, and the Three of Cups. So the first thing I'm seeing is that Capricorn is running away or distancing themselves from a life that doesn't suit them any longer, which I feel is quite uncharacteristic of a Capricorn, but that's just my personal, what I associate with Capricorn. It doesn't mean that it's true, obviously. And with the Three of Cups, I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking Capricorn is relying on their emotional support group, but then also I'm thinking there's some kind of gossip thing going on. Mainly because the Four of Wands is reversed right next to the Three of Cups. That's the only reason I'm kind of picking that up. Then we have the Ace of Cups reversed. So what I immediately thought of, that it's the end of love. And there is a moment when you knew that relationship was over. Then we have the Knight of Wands, and okay, so one thing I'm kind of thinking about is that this was a spur of the moment decision. Maybe even the relationship itself was a spur of the moment thing, and you didn't think it would last as long as it did. And okay, so one thing I'm thinking of is that your social circle also did not think it would last as long as it did. But I feel like there's some kind of relief in that it's finally over for some reason. I know I said it was the end of love with the Ace of Cups reversed, but I'm thinking that this wasn't necessarily a romantic relationship. I'm thinking of those relationships that seem like really good friendships, and so it would feel like a good idea to become roommates, but then you find out all the little things that the other person does, or maybe you find that you feel incredibly uncomfortable living with another person, and so your little idiosyncrasies kind of come to the forefront, and it's just not awkward, but like the idiosyncrasies bouncing from each other there's like incompatibility. And I say that because the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Wands are opposite elements. The Ace of Cups is water, the Knight of Wands is fire. They just naturally don't get along. Then we have the Ace of Pentacles, and okay, so with the Ace of Pentacles, I'm thinking that there's going to be a better opportunity later in the future. So if you're thinking about moving out or distancing yourself or something like that, you will be able to find a better opportunity, a better option somewhere else or with someone else. But it is going to be something that shows up much later down the road. And it could even be a moment where you have already moved out or grown distant, and you've kind of developed a little life separate from whatever that drama was. And when you're finally getting comfortable, something suddenly shows up, and much later down the road or down your timeline, and it's like, ta-da, I'm the opportunity from that one time. So with the Ace of Pentacles, you want to stay grounded, and you're a Capricorn, so you naturally are already very practical. And but with the Ace of Cups reversed, I want to say that you might have a tendency to let your imagination get the best of you. Like, instead of your imagination being something productive, it's destructive, and you kind of eventually end up imagining the worst case scenario, whatever it is. So the Ace of Pentacles is here to say, stay on the ground. Don't, I mean, you can go ahead and imagine stuff, but don't let worry take over your imagination. Because reality is not like that most of the time. Then we have the Empress card. So the Empress is nurturing, nourishing, maternal, caregiving. These are qualities that you might want to cultivate within yourself, because it's likely that this is an energy that is missing, or what's the word? It's not around as much as you need it to be. So you're gonna have to be gentle and nourishing and nurturing to yourself, especially during this time when you're trying to distance yourself from this relationship or whatever the dynamic is. The other thing I'm thinking is the Knight of Wands is pretty toxic as a personality. They have, like everyone, they have their good and bad qualities, but because this reading is saying that there's a distancing in the relationship, I'm thinking the Knight of Wands is the toxic kind, and they were looking for you to be their mother. Like, they didn't want to do laundry or dishes or clean the house, so they kind of put it all on you, like that was your responsibility, and they didn't want to grow up and do that themselves. They wanted to remain a child. And I say that because the Knight of Wands is underneath the Four of Wands reversed, and it's right next to the Ace of Cups reversed. And for them, on their part, they're going to get a dose of reality with the Ace of Pentacles. And the Empress that is showing up for them is not the one that is showing up for you. They're going to get the, I think the word is vengeful, maybe vindictive mother, where this person is going to get punished, or, you know, their karma is going to show up and they're going to get the karmic justice they deserve for being such a jerk. But that's them. That's their thing to deal with, and they may or may not grow from the situation at hand. But for you, the Empress is the nourishment and nurturing that you needed during this time. And you need to give those qualities to yourself. And it might even feel awkward at first, being the mother you needed during this time. Then we have the Sun card. Someone else got these two cards in their reading. Empress and who was it? I think it might have been Aquarius. The Sun card is shining a light on the situation. Even if this is a moment that happened in the past, it's kind of asking you to look back on that moment and ask yourself, what happened there that was formative for you, that made you realize that you had a need to distance yourself from this whatever dynamic it was. What was formative about the situation, and how do you think or feel you grew from that situation? And I feel like the Empress is also here to ask what sort of, or not sort of, but what, did you allow yourself grace through the mistakes that you made during the situation? Because it's more than likely that you did, and it's possible that the Knight of Wands is here to say that you made some mistakes during that time. And so the Sun card is saying, the Sun and the Empress both are asking, have you grown from those mistakes that you made, or are you making them again? And so are you finding yourself in a repeated pattern of needing to distance yourself from whatever dynamic you're in order to feel like you can make your own choices and feel like a responsible adult when no one else is around? Why do I feel like the tables are turning in this reading? Well, okay. And then the last card at the bottom of the deck is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is someone who, she's often described as a lone wolf. And so I feel like that might be, Queen of Swords might be the person you are becoming, where you prefer being the lone wolf type. You don't like taking on the responsibility of being in relationships, because the drama that always comes with it is not something that you like to deal with. And then also, as a subsequent consequence, there's always a bit of gossip going on. Whether it's good or bad depends on the people involved, of course, but that's not something that we can control. But also, the Queen of Swords knows when to, So one thing that's coming up is that be wary of having your relationships with whoever in whatever shape it takes. Be wary of having your relationships become transactional. Because that is basically the path I'm seeing in the cards. Like, you have a tendency to distance yourself from situations, and then you're in the realization that maybe you're better off alone, being the lone wolf type, And so while you are giving yourself the grace that the Empress is talking about, perhaps that in that moment you are realizing that you're like, that's when you realize like, oh, everything's so much better when I'm by myself, and there's no drama, there's no gossip, or maybe there is a little gossip, but like, what does that matter? And I'm looking at the Ace of Pentacles, and I feel like that's where I'm getting this transactional tendency. Like, if someone has no value for you, whatever that means, then you kind of just don't interact with them at all. And so that's something that you have to be careful of. And that is also something that the Empress says to give the people the same grace that you give yourself. Not everyone is going to be like the Knight of Wands, and not everyone is going to have a value. Like, for example, let's say that you are wanting to host a podcast, and so the only people that you are deciding to interact with are people that you can work with on a podcast or interview for the podcast or whatever, and so you're dismissing everyone else. I feel like the Empress is saying, like, try not to do that, because it's going to cause you to feel lonely or alone. And the Sun card is also shining a light on that tendency. It may be advantageous at some moments to only speak to or surround yourself with people that are helpful to your cause, let's say. But then dismissing everyone else is also not a good look, as they say. But then I feel like the Queen of Swords is also here to say, like, yes, you shouldn't dismiss everyone else who doesn't have value, but you should also be discerning. Like, give people the chance to show you who they really are, and then make your decision. Okay, that dude is bad news, I'm gonna keep away from them, and so yeah, in terms of astrology, we have fire signs with the Knight of Wands, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We have the element of water with the Ace of Cups, and the element of earth with the Ace of Pentacles. We have the planet Venus with the Empress card. We have the Sun with the Sun card, and we have air signs with the Queen of with the Queen of Swords. That's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Yeah, that's it. Okay, thank you so much for being here, Capricorn. Give this video a like if you haven't already, and I would really appreciate if you have any thoughts about this reading. Leave a comment if you so choose, and what's the other thing? Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alright, well, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!